All right, welcome back to another video. So this is a continuation of my series on upgrading my 2015 F-150. If you haven't checked out my other videos, I've already showed you how to add a new steering wheel, how to upgrade your instrument cluster, how to upgrade our sync to sync 3, 8-inch from the 4-inch base system. Today I'm making a slight upgrade to the radio. I'm going to be replacing, this is called the ACM or audio control module, and basically it is the CD player. It's the brains of the unit. I'm going to be replacing that one with one that has built-in HD radio, and I believe it also has satellite radio. I did not buy it for satellite radio, and I won't be showing you how to enable that in this truck just because I'll never use it. I'm not going to be installing the antenna on the roof or the antenna on the dash. But it's basically the same unit and the procedure is the same. If you buy one out of an F-150, they're very, very expensive. They're going to cost you from $200 to $500 just for this part right here with HD radio. And the reason they're doing that is they know what you're trying to do, that you're trying to upgrade your F-150. On the other hand, you can get basically the exact same part out of an Explorer for around $50. So at $50, I'm in. But there will be some programming changes that we have to make using Forscan to the code on the radio to make it work in our truck. But basically all the hardware is the same thing. So I went ahead and got started. To remove all of this, it's very easy. You just pull up, there's some clips, and there's 2 7mm screws under here, or bolts. So I just took my ratchet, took out those 7mm bolts. Then I pulled this panel off here and undid just the 2 wiring harnesses. You can see we're right in here. Now we're going to take a 7mm socket and we're going to remove the 4 screws. Alright, so I went ahead and made a backup of the programming for this with Forscan ahead of time. If you use Forscan before, which you probably have if you've seen my other videos, you'll basically read the as-built format for the audio control module, and then we will save that configuration. And I just saved it just in case I need to go back or I make a mistake. So I'll go ahead and pull this out. On the back here, see we have an antenna. This is just for our radio, so we'll undo that. And then we've got our 2 harnesses here. We have our new harness that was from our Sync 3 upgrade. Ideally, we don't want to drop it out like that, but there's all there is to that. So now I'm going to get the module out of the Explorer and I'll show you what we need to do to make it so it works in here. All right, so here's the audio control module out of the Explorer. You can see that the brackets are different, and although they're similar, you need to change the brackets over from the F-150. So there's just 3 screws on each side that come out, and then remove these and switch the brackets around. If we turn the radios around, see that the ports are the same, except for we have an additional satellite port right here. Like I said, for the optional satellite radio, and our black port is still our antenna port, which also works with HD radio. These have the same knob on the back here, so it will fit in there. Additionally, if we turn the radios over, this is where you can tell if you actually have a radio with HD or not. So if you look on the F-150, the part number is a telltale when you're searching online. You can see that this one's missing some information right here. Whereas on this one, it actually says HD radio technology manufactured under license from Ubiquity Digital Corporation. So if you see where it talks about the HD radio on the sticker, you know that it has HD radio. Here's the part number from the Explorer right here that we're going to be using. You can see the manufacturer date on this one is January 20, 2015. On this one, May 15th, 2015. So these are basically from the same era, very similar, except this one has HD radio and satellite, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to switch these brackets around. we'll just plug that in and pop it back into place. Then we'll talk about the programming changes you need to make this work. All right, so when you get everything turned on and back together, we have no volume control, okay? So I'm gonna switch sources real quick just to get that to be quiet. So we can go into Forscan here. Connect to our vehicle. Make sure the ignition is in the on position. Okay, so DTC is an audio control module. Not surprising. Satellite antenna fault circuit open. Obviously, because we don't have a satellite antenna connected. So I'm going to go to the ACM as built format module configuration. I'm going to read that. All right, so what I ended up doing to get everything to work right was I went back, and that backup that I made of my working stereo setup, I clicked load all 2015 F150 ACM non-HD radio. That's the backup that I made. So I loaded that. And then to enable the HD radio, I had to change. So if you look at the first line here, where it says 9208, I'll show you what it did say. So remember that, 9208. It did say 9808, as you can see. So all I did was change the 2 to an 8 right there to enable the HD radio. Then it's important to click write all, okay? And then it will tell you to turn the ignition off and back on. And then once you turn it back on, you'll see my HD radio icon has appeared now. Something cold in your head. If it's not, you can go into your radio and make sure that it's turned on, the option. But what I used to figure that out is the spreadsheet application, basically, for your model year truck. If we look, we have many options. But like I said, that second position, which is this one here, I changed it to, it was an 8 for HD radio disabled. So I changed it to the matching one over here, which is so DAB not available, steering wheel controls not available, and CGA 1.3. So then I changed it to a 2, HD radio enabled and DAB not available, and steering wheel controls available and CGA 1.3. So everything works as it should. All of these situations are going to be slightly different. That's why I said I'll put a link in the description to this spreadsheet here. This is kind of nerdy stuff, but if you just kind of really break it down and look at it, it's actually not that hard to figure out what's going on. You can turn on your, when it says INT SDARS enabled. So for example, like I said, I'm not going to be using the satellite radio. So that's a 9 for that first line. So we look over at 9, it says internal SDARS disabled, and APIM Gen 2, which is APIM, the large screen, and EFP CAN based and APIM available, which means right there. So I have the satellite radio disabled. Now if I wanted to connect the antenna, enable it, I would just change it to, it looks like, find the same one, looks like a 1, and that would activate the satellite radio. You can see, because everything matches what it is. So it's you're kind of just taking what you have and just ticking on the little bit of features that you want, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to save all of this. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to audio control module, as built format. I'm going to read the data. And then I'm going to save all of this. F150 ACM HD radio. Final. 3, 2, 1. So those are my settings that work. Hit OK. Save that. Then I'll be done here. All right, so I understand it's not the most detailed procedure I've ever done, but I just wanted to show you that it was easy to upgrade to the HD radio or satellite radio for that matter. You know, obviously we'd have to add the antenna to do that and get your subscription, but it's that easy. Just add the HD radio, and it doesn't have to be that expensive. I got that on eBay, and you saw the part number, but I'll put it in the description below. The part number that I use, you can search for it, maybe score one cheap from a junkyard or an online auction site like eBay. So until next time, we'll see you later, and leave a comment below. Thanks.